welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about how did I know that I had found my forever home in medical coding. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so Monday night I did an episode about what coding specialties do I code for currently, because somebody had asked me about this. And then I got this follow-up comment on that video, so thank you to the viewer who made the comment, and the comment reads, thanks for sharing, Blue. When did you realize you had found your forever coding home? And what are the critical criteria one should consider before making that decision? Well, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. And to be honest with you, I don't have a checklist of the critical criteria to make the decision to stay. I could go anywhere, guys. I could, because I have 15 years. This year makes 15 years experience in medical coding. And my experience is broad. I have the medical coding mastery credential, which is the CCS, the gold standard of medical coding credentials. I also have the CCSP. But of course, with those credentials, I had the CCA for 13 years, and that didn't stop me from doing a lot of things. And I did a lot of things with it. So it's more about experience and the fact that I could go anywhere. Now I'm comfortable where I am. And if happy coders are comfortable where they are, they're going to stay where they are. You know, I've gotten a lot of opportunity being here as far as learning from different clinics and things like that. And so I like the productivity. The productivity is reasonable for our hospital, for our clinic. For my clinic is 90 per day, average 90 per day. The accuracy is 97% overall. And so that's, to me, that's a reasonable amount. It's high, especially for the industry, but it is attainable, as far as like all the experience that I've had. So there's a lot of things that go into my decision to stay, right? And being with my providers is another reason that I stay, because I enjoy them. I like watching them learn. And because they do rotate in and out, they're not always there. And so sometimes it's going to be a new batch of providers that I get access to. And so that's really part of the reason that I stay as well. So I get treated well. Yes, there are days when you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, and you just want to go home. But for the most part, I get treated very well where I work. And my whole thing is not about my other coworkers, it's about my providers. That's why I'm there. And so a lot of times you'll find yourself working in a place, and you'll be questioning, is this my forever home? Is this where I want to stay? I get paid very well for what I do, and when it comes to challenges, my supervisor is always willing to challenge me in some way. She's pulled me out of clinics before to go rescue other clinics, and so that to me gives me that challenge that I need, and I need that. I need to be challenged. I don't like to be just pigeonholed into one thing, and that's something that you may experience. You may get to a place, and your supervisor may like you to code in just a particular setting, and then they don't want you to move to any other place. And then when you look at the pay scale doesn't really kind of compensate for that, because it's not where it should be as far as like your experience level. And I'm talking about experienced folks, okay? I'm not talking about brand new folks, but I'm talking about experienced folks. And then if you decide, hey, I think I can do better based on what the market says, versus what I do, versus where I am, and then that's when you know that you can move on. I have to also think of other economical factors that come into play as well. When I first got here, I'm by myself. I'm a single woman, and I have to take care of myself. There's nobody that can pick up the slack. Yes, I can call on my Uncle Kyle if I need him, but I'm not gonna pull that card unless I absolutely need it. And so with that, okay, I have to work this job. Well, at the time, that's the way I thought of it. I hadn't thought of medical coding as a career when I got here in 2009. You have to remember, I started medical coding in 2008. I got here to my forever home in 2009. And it wasn't until 2014 that I had this aha moment. And that aha moment really changed everything for me. And that aha moment was the moment that I decided that this is my forever home. This is where I will stay. You know, as long as they will allow me, this is where I will be. And because I like it here. You know, this is where I enjoy being. And so in 2014, we saw the beginning of the transition to ICD-10 CM and ICD-10 PCS. It hit in October of 2015. That's when we had the complete changeover. But we had started doing our training in 2014, and so for it, in preparation for it. But I realized that I liked where I was because we had gotten trainers to come to our facility to train us in ICD-10. And I had had the opportunity also to have additional training at home, which I went through. So I was going through simultaneous trainings. So the training that I was getting at my facility, if there was something that was missing in the training, it was filled in with the additional training that I was getting from a different agency, right? And so that's, or different company, different school rather, agency, different school. So it was a great way to kind of fill in those gaps. Well, because we had gotten so much from our facility, I'm like, oh wow, this is really great. This is awesome. You know, I had spent that time learning, and then it was making me even more engaged with what I was doing. And so just having that joy and that excitement of learning, and then being around my new providers, well, not, they weren't new, but we had had a big, beautiful new hospital built, and we were moving in at that time as well, in that year, in that same year. And so we were having a lot of time face to face with providers where we had normally been housed away from them. So that also had a hand in that development too, because now I get to work with these different personalities. And before, I was so intimidated by them because I thought, you know, these are doctors and they know so much, and what am I going to teach them? I just have a certification. That's the way that I thought back then. But it wasn't until I started talking with the providers, and one in particular, and he said, Blue, he goes, you know the coding. I don't know coding. I'm a surgeon. Or rather, he said, I'm a surgeon. I'm like, whatever. And, you know, he goes, I know this. He goes, but he goes, I need you to help me to understand this better. And so that was just, again, it was just the whole start of like, okay, this is where I want to be. This is who I enjoy being around. I enjoy being around these people. And as time changes and as time goes on, you mature and you find yourself like, okay, this is where I've been, and I like the people. I like going to the cafeteria and seeing my favorite people in the cafeteria and that kind of thing. And I don't just know the coders. I don't just know my own providers. I know a lot of people in the hospital. I can go through walk through the hospital at any time, and people will say, "Hey, Blue, how you doing?" Or they'll wave to me because, you know, we know each other in passing, you know. And so that's just, to me, it's where I like to be. I have worked other places though in coding, just so you guys know. It's not only been here. But I have worked other places, and I've been treated very well with those places as well. And so again, it goes back to just the fulfillment that I get just from being where I am. So that's the way that I think about it. Like I said, it's nothing too glamorous, and there was nothing really analytical about it either, as far as like, okay, I have these parameters, this is what I want, this is what I want. I think when you put out that energy of this is what I want, you're going to get some of it, right? But you're not going to get everything that you think of, and then some, you know. So it really all depends on where you are. And for me, when I hear the stories of people who you know, get like a lot of pushback from other coders and, you know, their supervisor and things like that, and they're just like, they're so miserable because that's where they get so wrapped up in. They get wrapped up in their coworkers. And for a time, during the time where I thought it was just a job, I worked in a tin can of a room. It was a very small room with 20 women in it. And we were all in bullpens. And while not all the times were bad, it's just so much when you work so closely with people. And again, I wasn't thinking of it in terms of I'm getting a lot from education, I'm getting a lot from learning new clinics and things like that. At that time, it was, oh my gosh, I'm in this room with 20 women and it's so uncomfortable in here, and the room would get really hot. And then I would sit in a desk on an island, basically by myself. And while that doesn't bother me, I was right next to the door that you could go in and out of to go out into the hallway. So a lot of times, like, people would walk by me and they would pull my hair and they would shake my chair and they would knock and say hi, and I'd have to put my headphones in because I just wanted to concentrate. And so then it was just like, at that time, if we hadn't been moved over to the new hospital, it would have been like, okay, I gotta figure something else out here, because it's a lot. It's a lot when you have a lot of coworkers, all around you and stuff. And at that time, there was no remote option to code remotely at home for my facility, right? You had to be there. Now they do allow the coders to work at home. I choose to work at the facility because to me it's better when I'm at the facility. I'm able to be around my providers and things like that. This is me, guys. I don't want to hear any argument in the comments. I'll block, okay? But for me, it is better because I get to be around them. There's not that disconnect with the communication. I noticed when there was a pandemic going on and I wasn't home for 5 miserable months, that there was a disconnect, as far as like, they saw that, I could email them, but they didn't have to answer or respond because I wasn't there. And I'm like, no, you guys got to respond because I am here, but just virtually. So, that was one of those things. But, again, it goes back to, I'm comfortable here. I like it. I enjoy it. And I enjoy, what I do. I enjoy working in ortho. I could work in ortho or podiatry anywhere, anywhere, and still do great. I could probably do a lot more. But for right now, this is where I am. This is my forever home. And if you are wondering out there, if you are in your forever home, I would strongly suggest that you don't overthink it, because that's what I did. I didn't overthink. I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay here. I'm giving myself the option of if I choose to, I can. But this is where I am. This is where I like to be. This is where I would love to retire. And if I ever do retire, I've said it many times, I don't want to retire. To me, it would just be like, I don't know. But, that's just me. And I look at it again from okay, I got to be able to support myself. And this is a great way to support myself. And it's not just work, it's with you guys as well. It's with Patreon. It's with, the resumes and the tutoring and things like that. All that goes to my education. All of that goes to that, and my energy goes into helping you all, So that's what I do. And that's where I am. I mean, I like it. I love it, and they've always, anywhere you hear it, they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. When I stopped worrying about what my coworkers thought, or, being in that tin can of a room and just being around all these women and the cattiness sometimes, of it all, because I'll be honest with you, yes, it does happen. Cattiness at work does happen. And, a lot of times, I get sucked into it. It's not me that's doing it. It's others, right? And I've said the story before about my friend that I had for 4 years. We never had a disagreement, never had an argument, not one unkind word for 4 years. And then I found out that she was talking about me behind my back. And I caught her doing it one day, and I denied it. I said, "Oh no, that's my friend. I would never. She would never do anything like that to me." I was kind. I helped her move. I did all these things for her. We had Christmases and Thanksgivings together, and it was a wake up call when that happened, when our friendship just imploded. At least I thought we were friends, but I guess, sometimes with it just wasn't a friendship that I thought it was, because when I'm a friend with somebody, I'm a genuine friend with somebody. And that just wasn't the case there. And then after that, but that was a turning point for me too, just so you guys know. I didn't leave. Obviously, I'm still there. But at that point, I stopped caring what other people at work thought of me. And I stopped caring that I didn't have my friend anymore. Because I said, okay, well, it really hurts, 4 years to be with such a close friend. And then you think, oh my gosh, all the things that I shared, with her. And the fact that, she just sort of turned on me. It was very hard. So, but when I got to that, okay, I'm going to focus on my providers. I'm going to focus on learning more. That's when all the clicking happened. And so I can work professionally with anybody, I can. I could be nice. I don't have to be around the drama. I don't have to get sucked into that. And that's the great thing about maturity and coming to those realizations after a while. And I could have left. I could have at that time, just being hurt, and not really wanting to see this person anymore. But I didn't have to be around her. And that's the way that I thought about it too. I don't have to be around this person. This person has no bearing in my life anymore. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And not everybody is meant to be in your life for a lifetime. I think it was Steve Harvey. I was scrolling through Instagram, and he was doing one of his motivational things. And then he was talking about how, like, the rockets, they go up into space, right? Well, the rockets have boosters on them, right? They have boosters, and they're getting this rocket up into space. And then, after a while, the boosters fall away because they reach a certain altitude and that's it. But the rocket keeps going, but the boosters fall away. So as you go up in altitude in life, there's going to be those rocket boosters that are just going to fall away. It doesn't mean that, your friendship never meant anything. I will carry my memories of the good memories that I do have with me always, but that was a time ago, and so again, it really all depends on how you handle things around you. I had my challenges with a supervisor, not mine, but the one before, I did have a challenge with her. She was a micromanager, and it's hard when you have two personalities that don't mix. I don't mix with micromanagers. I can't, because I am responsible for what I do. I am a hard worker. I do what I'm supposed to do. And I can't have micromanaging. And so, fortunately, I was able to move teams. And so I was glad for that, because I know I can do a really good job as long as I don't have micromanaging going on. And that's the thing that I've taken so many years to prove, that, I can work autonomously and be trusted. And that's the thing. I'm an adult. And I will treat you as an adult as you treat me as an adult, There's some people that they need to be reminded to do things, and they need to have somebody on them and things like that. But that's not me. And fortunately, like I said, I have established a reputation for myself that I'm a hard worker. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my providers educated, to get the stuff done accurately, so that, everything can run smoothly. And I've made efforts to continually educate myself, because that's what gives me my fuel. That's what gives me drive. That's what gives me focus. That's what reminds me of why I'm there. And then when I have, times when I'm educating my providers and I'm able to do those classes and have the freedom and the creativity to be able to do that, that's really great for me. Because I hear that there's a lot of other places where it's one person that does it. It's one person that educates everybody. And I couldn't imagine being in a place like that where I'm not actively educating my own providers who I'm coding for. And that's why I'm very particular about who talks to them, who do they listen to, because I'm training them, and I'm responsible for them when it comes to, when they pull any of their records and they say, okay, the coder in here has been responsible for training these providers. Does this documentation look great? Yes, it does. Okay, well, who's responsible for that? It's the coder. It's Blue, who's the coder for orthopedics and podiatry. So again, that's where I look at it, but it took me learning to advocate for myself. That was how I got put with my supervisor now. I had to advocate for myself and get away from a micromanager, because again, it was about like, okay, I need to speak up, because if you don't speak up and defend yourself, you're gonna be, well, stuck with whatever you have. And I think when you are responsible, when you can do things and you're committed to your work, I think that when you learn to communicate that and you learn to advocate for yourself, I think you can reap the rewards of that. And I certainly have, right? And so have my providers. So as long as my hospital is here, I will be here, and like I said, I don't have any desire to go anywhere else. So when you're happy, you'll stay. And when you've reached a certain point, then you've reached a certain point, and you make that choice to move on, or you make that choice to stay. It's really all on the individual. But again, I didn't really overthink being, oh, this is my forever home and I'm gonna pick this forever. No, I say it now because it's the truth. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. That's my story, and I will see y'all next time. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all again. Bye.